Let's discuss how you can change the way you think about money. My name's Chris Naugle, and my job is to help you become your own banker. Now, what was your first thought when I said that word, money? Stop and really think about that, because I know you had a feeling when I said that money. But that same feeling could come when I say words like mom or love. How about dentist? Or maybe colonoscopy. Some of you have a really good thought about that, and some of you have an awful thought. But what were your thoughts when I said the word money? Well, a couple phrases come to mind. If when I said money, you had a negative feeling, it's probably because your upbringing or your parents when you were growing up didn't have much of it, or often told you not to talk about money, or often didn't want to discuss money, or they talked about it in a negative way. Is that you? Because that's how I grew up. And that's always how I used to think about money. But then when I said the word money, some of you watching this probably had a really good feeling. And that's because while you were growing up, you were surrounded by people, most likely your parents, that always talked positive about money. And they probably had a lot of money as well. So you had a good experience with money. But the point I'm trying to make is that every one of you had a different feeling about those words I mentioned, especially money. And that's because of your upbringings. You learned the things you learned by the people you trusted and the people you were around. And none of you have the same upbringing. You all had different parents. You all had different schools you went to, different neighborhoods you grew up in, different friends you hung out with, different teachers. And every one of them played a part into your thought process. And if you were given the choice, would you change the thoughts and the feelings you had that were associated with that word money? If so, this video is for you. So let's dive into 5 different reasons why people have the feeling they did about money. First thing is the perception of money. I already went into this a little bit, but let's go one step deeper. Your upbringing and the people that you were surrounded by and the people that you trusted led you to believe the things you believe about money. Good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. And the one most important thing I want to talk to you about the perception of money is it's usually a false reality. It's a false perception. Because money is nothing more than a tool, which is the second thing. If you really just take all the emotion away from the word money and you understand that it is just a tool, it simplifies this whole thing. One of the things that's very important when you're thinking of money as a tool is to understand this. Money doesn't make you happy. Buying things or your material items that you have don't make people happy. It is possible and usually very realistic that people that have a lot of money oftentimes aren't happy. You know what money really is? Money is your ticket, your hall pass to freedom. And if you understand that the tool of money is nothing more than something that creates freedom for you, then that perception changes. Because now we just need to learn how to use that tool. So money is just a result of the value we provide. So think about that. When we talk about things costing too much, you should actually ask yourself, cost is only relevant if there's not value. Because cost is really only an issue when there's no value. Think about that. So money is a result of the value we provide. So what value do you provide and what problem do you solve? So when you're really thinking about the tool of money, everybody's number one thing is, well, how do I make more of it? Well, you solve a problem. That's the simplest way. Every company in the world does one thing really well. They solve a problem. Their problem they're solving. So when you're thinking about money, you're probably thinking about it in a negative way because you have money problems. Those money problems could be you have too much debt. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You hate your job. You don't make enough. Whatever those problems are, they are results of the value you provide. So if you want more money, provide more value. Solve more problems. Let me bring that down to a whole nother level. And this is where things changed for me. A lot of my upbringing was spent doing jobs when I was a kid that I really didn't like. But I did them just because I wanted money. I needed the money. And I bet you that's the case with many of you. But there was a point in my life where things changed. And that was really when I became an entrepreneur and I started solving other people's problems and creating products or things that helped people be happy or help people solve a problem, whatever that was. The whole thing changed for me when I really understood that I made more money when I solved bigger problems. And I made more money when I solved problems for a larger amount of people. early on, the only problem I was ever trying to solve, because that's what I was taught, was my own problems. My problems every single day were I didn't have enough money. And that might be your problem as well. But that's not going to solve any problem. You're not going to make more money if you only focus on you. You have to focus on what your value is to somebody else. And when you actually solve a problem for somebody else, you get paid to do that. So when you solve a problem for more people, you get paid more money. When you solve bigger problems for people, you get paid bigger amounts of money. Does that make sense? That's all it is. So when you go to work and you bitch and moan that you hate your job, that your boss doesn't pay you enough, and that everything is against you, why do you think you're stuck in the rut you are? Your thought process is wrong. You're not providing any value. You're focused only on you, your problem, and you're blaming. You're playing the blame game. I did this. I know. I remember in some of the times in my life, the earliest that comes to memory is in the early 2000s when the dot-com recession happened. I was in a very tough financial place. I was highly leveraged. And I remember when that happened and everything started falling apart, I blamed everything. I blamed the economy. I blamed the recession. I blamed business partners that did me wrong. I blamed everything. Listen, every day of your life, there's going to be problems. But if all you ever do is blame the problems for where you're at in life, you're doing it backwards. Stop playing the blame game. You know, you're going to laugh, but where it changed, I remember I was renting a house with like a bunch of other buddies, and I was sitting at the kitchen table. Somebody gave me a Dr. Phil book. Now, don't hold me accountable because it was a Dr. Phil book. But that book, and I don't remember the title, was about taking responsibility for all the problems in your life, no matter who created them. That book changed it all. After that point, I stopped blaming and I started taking responsibility. And at that point, I went out and I really started trying to help other people solve problems. And everything went and changed from there. When you go to work, do you go to work to solve a problem? And I'm not just talking about like you're solving a problem for yourself by making a sale. I mean, like, let's take a garbage worker, right? Seems like a pretty crappy job. Somebody that works at a waste facility. Think of that. The dump truck backs up, dumps a bunch of garbage on a conveyor belt. And let's just say you've got a crappy job and you just started, and your job is to sift through all that crappy garbage. And the only thing you're supposed to be doing is to sift the usable garbage from the unusable. The glass jars, the cardboard boxes, the milk cartons, they can all be recycled to then create another good and service and save valuable resources on earth. But in doing that and finding that golden nugget, those cardboard boxes, those glass jars, you've got to sift through dirty diapers, banana peels that are rotten, food that's been sitting with maggots on it. Like, that seems pretty nasty, doesn't it? So let's do the tale of two garbage workers. And maybe the title's wrong, it doesn't matter. One garbage worker does nothing but complain the whole day. Every time he's got a dirty diaper, he bitches and moans about it. Every time he's going through this, he just is counting the hours until 5 o'clock when he can leave or whatever his schedule is. Every day is the same. Every day is the worst day of his life. The other workers on the other side, he's excited. Every day he comes to work, he understands the problem he's solving is a massive world problem. And that problem is, I need to find more usable resources that I can help this company recycle so that we don't have to chop down more trees, so we don't have to watch our rainforest disappear, so that the valuable resources on this earth don't get depleted because I wasn't willing to provide value by helping recycle things that we can reuse. Think about that. What is the value of that worker? He might be a garbage worker. He might have a crappy job by most people's standards, but he is solving a world problem, a massive problem. The other guy is trying to solve his own problem. He just wants to make money, to pay the bills, and every day is going to be the worst day of his life for the rest of his life. The other person, you know what's going to happen to him? He's going to keep providing value. He's going to keep seeing how much value he does and how big the problem is he's solving. He's not going to be on that line for long. He's going to move up and he's going to climb up. And I bet you any money in a short period of time, if he keeps that positive mindset of solving a problem, he'll be the CEO of that waste company. And what does the CEO of a waste company make? More money probably than you can spend. What was the difference between those two workers? The difference was nothing more than the way they viewed the problem they were solving. One was solving a world problem, the other was only solving their problem. You see, money is never the problem. The problem is how you perceive money. That's the real problem. So let's just do a quick recap of those. The first thing we talked about is, why do people have issues with their perception on money? The second thing we talked about, how money is nothing more than a tool. Nothing more, nothing less. The third thing, we talked about the results of money, value. And then we went on to talk about money is never the problem. You and the problem you solve is either the problem or the solution. So I hope you like this video. My name's Chris Naugle, and my job is to help you become your own banker. But I want you to watch this video right here, the money multiplier method. It's a video that changed my life back in 2014 because it helped me understand the truth about how money really worked. Check it out. We'll see you on the next episode.